Good evening, beautiful people. My name is Derek Standifer, aka Ayana's daddy, aka Derek Jr.'s papa, aka my parents' son. And I have the honor, the privilege, and the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Curtis Richardson, candidate for Leon County Commission. Mr. Richardson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, but let me correct you. I'm a candidate for re-election to the Tallahassee City Commission.
Thank you for that
It's the
clarification,
county
sir.
commission. Yeah,
My apologies. Thank you for that
that's
clarification, sir.
okay. That's we don't want to confuse anybody.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So here we are. We have Mr. Richardson on. And
Hmm.
today we're gonna outline how he has solved the twists and turns of his campaign by going through the twists and turns of the Rubik's cube. All right. So the first step of solving the Rubik's cube, the first step of solving life, is to believe. Before we can accomplish anything that we want to accomplish in life, we have to believe that we can pick it up. Now I notice a lot of people pick up the Rubik's cube and they claim that they can't solve it. They don't have to believe they can accomplish
Right.
it. So Mr. Richardson, what are your goals? What is your desire once you are reelected into office?
Well, Derek, I have always been one who wanted to be where the decisions were being made. As I mentioned to you just a minute ago, I started my political career as a member of the Leon County School Board. I
Hmm.
was a single black male. I was probably in my mid 30s, wasn't married, didn't have children, but I knew what opportunities a good education had made for me. And I wanted to make sure every child, regardless of where they lived in Tallahassee, had that opportunity. And we, at the time, kids attended a school that they were zoned for. We didn't have all the school choice that we have now. And unfortunately, it was the schools on the south side of town in the predominantly African American neighborhoods that were some of the poorest in the district. And at the time, we didn't have an African American on the school board. It had been difficult to get an African American elected because we were running at large. So that meant you had to run countywide for the
Mm.
school board. But I decided that if I was going to make a difference in the quality of children's education, I needed to be on that school board, making decisions and determining how the dollars would be spent and where. And so I initially ran against a 16-year incumbent who was very popular in the community. Unfortunately, I lost that race, but what it did for us was myself and the NAACP challenged the school board to then go to single member districts to improve the chances of an African American being
Hmm.
elected to the board. And so they did voluntarily decide to go to single member districts. And I was elected in 1990 to serve on the Leon County School Board. I was the first African American male elected to the board and served 2 years as chairman of the board. And so I say that to say this: that is what has uh, piqued my interest in public office. As I mentioned to you, I'm finishing my 20th year in public office, including my 6 years on the school board. I served 8 years in the Florida House of Representatives, and now 6 years on the school board. I mean, on the city commission. Because Derek, it is so important that we be involved not only in voting, and I hope we get a chance to talk about that a little bit later, but in policy making, because that's how we're impacted is the policies that are made by those governing bodies and determining how the money is spent. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, in our community uh, in Tallahassee, so often the African American neighborhoods have been neglected, and that again, that's a thing that prompted me to run for the Tallahassee City Commission. I live on the south side of town, and what I noticed was that the neighborhoods on our side of town were often neglected when it came down to resources and
Hmm.
improvements. And so I decided I would run again for the city commission, and we've made some tremendous strides in improving the quality of life of the people who live on the south side of town and in areas like Frenchtown and Griffin Heights and South City. And so that's what prompted me to get involved in all of this.
Mm, mm. points. One, representation matters, sir. So thank you for that
Yes,
fight. It's important that we have
yes,
people who look like us leading in our communities. We have, and then two, the second thing that you said was that you live in the community
yes,
in which you are a leader in. That's very
yes,
important because people who are not living in the community, who don't reside in the community, they don't understand the issues. They don't understand the voices of the citizens. So that's
right.
very important. So thank you for that, good sir. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah. My wife is a county judge here in Leon County, as a matter of fact. And we decided to build our home on the south side of town, and we raised our two daughters here. My oldest is she's a graduate of Rickards High School and is now a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy. And my youngest is a 10th grader in the public schools here in Leon County. So we've been committed to this for a long time. And like I said, we've seen tremendous strides over these just past 6 years, these short 6 years that I've been on the city commission, and lots of things in the works. So the future looks bright for communities and neighborhoods where we live predominantly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the first step is to believe. The second step of
Yes,
solving the Rubik's cube, the second step of solving life is to identify your whys, your reasons, is to solve your cross. So,
right.
Mr. Richardson, you mentioned voting and the importance of it is this year. Why is it important? Why is it important that we are vocal in our elections by voting, and especially in this year, especially in this year right here? Why this election is important for us to get out and go and vote, sir?
Yeah, Derek, voting every year, every election is a critical election. This one, probably even more so. I mean, we said the same thing when President Obama was running, because we were trying to elect the first African American president. But every election at every level, from president down to school boards and city and county commissions, are important, because those are the people who make decisions about our everyday lives. Every aspect of our everyday life is determined by policies that are made either at the local, state, or federal level, especially how the money is spent. And so that's one of the reasons why we need to be involved. But Derek, there have been those, we have been denied the right to vote for years, a right that is extended to
Mm,
anyone who comes to this country through our Constitution. But we were denied that right for so long, and there were those who uh, uh, made sure that we weren't able to vote, even though it was constitutionally mandated that we vote. Jim Crow laws were put into place, and I grew up in the segregated South, where my parents couldn't vote, and so I never saw anybody who looked like me running for office, and certainly not holding office.
mm,
And so that's why it's so important, because, and then there were people who literally gave their lives, Derek, so that we could have that right to vote, unhampered, unencumbered by, literacy tests and poll tests. Those things were eliminated with the Voting Rights Act in 1964. But yet so many of us ignore that, because we don't feel like our vote matters. We don't feel like our vote will make a difference, and it certainly does.
mhm.
And now I think it's even more critical. People keep saying that this is one of the most important elections in our lifetime, and I agree. But I agree for the reasons that I've talked about, and that it starts from the top and works its way all the way down to the local level. And actually, the local level is where we're impacted
The most.
most, because yes. So those are the reasons why it's so important for us to vote. And I encourage everyone who is of legal age and is eligible. We're having that fight now for our returning citizens, who we passed a constitutional amendment giving them the right to vote once they served their time and did
Mhm.
all of their requirements. And now that's being challenged by the Republicans. And so we've got to make sure that we are involved in that process, not just during elections like this, but every election cycle, I registered to vote in 1976 as a student at Florida State University, Derek, and I have never missed voting in an election since then. And I encourage others to replicate that because it's just that important. And now it is so easy to vote. You can vote by mail,
Mm.
you can early vote for 2 weeks, and you can vote on election day. It used to be a time when the only time you could vote was election day. And if it rained, oh, we were in trouble then,
Mm.
especially the women. Well, oh, I'm not getting my hair wet. I'm not going out in that rain. But that's not an excuse anymore. And so I just encourage everyone who is of age, of legal age, and eligible to vote to exercise that very basic right that we're given in this democracy that we live
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a beautiful thing of the easy access to voting. I went to vote
in. Yes,
2 days yesterday, Friday. I was in line for
yes,
maybe 5 minutes. It was a simple,
yes,
easy process. You go in and you're right out. It's not even an inconvenience to your day.
right.
And another thing, my first time in voting was for the election of Barack Obama. But
Yes,
when I got to the poll, I had no clue about the judges, about
right.
the commissioners, about the senators, about the legislators. I had no clue who they were. Now, being in
Yeah,
Tallahassee got me a lot more literate on voting for local officials because those are the ones who directly impact our lives. Those are the
yes,
ones who directly input the quality of life for us. And being in Tallahassee has been a beautiful blessing because I get to see you out in the streets. I see you all the time
absolutely.
in the
Yes,
street. I see the local officials in the street and see what campaigns they are passionate about, what causes they are
right.
passionate about. And yeah, so thank you for that. Thank you for that, sir.
Yeah, and the other thing that's important, Derek, that you mentioned are the issues that are on the ballot. We've got several constitutional amendments on the ballot. We've got the District Court of Appeals and Supreme Court justices that are they're up for retention. We don't vote on them. We just determine whether or not they should be retained in office. But all of that is important. So not only is it important to vote, to register to vote, but to educate yourselves about who the people are that are running, their political party, their background, their experience. Do they know about what the issues that are important to us? And then the issues that are on the ballot. Like I said, these constitutional amendments, raising the minimum wage is one of them. There are people who are having to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet at the end of the month because our minimum wage is $7 an hour. Nobody can live off of that. And so we're trying to raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour so that people have a chance to work their way out of poverty if they get a job. And so it's important then that you understand what the issues are that you're voting on as well. And it's so interesting, Derek, because there are a lot of young people, especially, they will go in and if they want to vote for president, they'll vote for president and they're done. They won't vote for anything else on the ballot. I've heard that happen so many times. So now what we're trying to do is convince all of our residents to register to vote, to educate themselves about the candidates and the issues, and then of course to exercise that right to vote during the election season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Miss Melanie, she wanted to praise the voting in Tallahassee. Our voting locations are superb, but other states and
Yes.
cities are struggling with suppression tactics, and that is true. We are familiar with that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've got a superb supervisor of elections. We've been blessed here in Tallahassee for probably the last, I don't know, 30 years at least, to have one of the top supervisors of elections in the state of Florida. Our previous supervisor of elections was a guy named Ian Sancho. He was recognized throughout the state of Florida as one of the most expert supervisor of elections in Florida. And our current uh, supervisor of elections, Mark, worked for him. And so he has just carried on that same level of expertise that Ian started, like I said, almost 30 years ago. We've been blessed in that respect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Richardson, now we're on to the third step of solving the Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
Third step of solving the Rubik's Cube, the third step of solving life is to fill in the corners. Now, filling in the
Yes.
corners is to surround yourself with people who will motivate you to be the best version of yourself. It's to immerse yourself in a positive environment. What kind of environment have you created here in the Tallahassee, in the city of Tallahassee, and what kind of environment do you want to continue to create and build upon once you're reelected?
Well, what I would suggest, Derek, is that people be involved in the community. That has been one of the things that has gotten me to where I am. Being involved in organizations like Leadership Tallahassee, where you build a network of leaders, those who aspire to be leaders in the community, and they have resources that they can make. I would not have been elected to the Leon County School Board but for the network that I established as a member of Leadership Tallahassee. These are people that I never would have met otherwise because we lived in different worlds and our worlds didn't intersect
Hmm.
but for Leadership Tallahassee. So organizations like that, serving on volunteer boards in the community, and getting to know the other people that serve on those boards. So you're constantly building those networks and getting to know the movers and shakers in the community and learning where the resources are. So that's another thing. And then, uh, like I said, just being involved in the community, volunteering yourself. Even now during this pandemic, I have missed very few food distribution opportunities, either through Farm Share or Second Harvest, which are two of our food providers in the community, because people are hurting right now. And so people want to see that you're willing to work in the community as well, not just to show up, every 4 years when you're looking for a vote. Before the pandemic, people would show up at our churches only when they were looking for a vote, and then we didn't see them anymore after that. Oh, that was very common. And so people want to see you in the community. They want to see you involved, that you're willing to work, that you demonstrate the kind of leadership skills and personal skills that it takes to be a leader in the community. And then they will feel comfortable giving you their vote, if you decide that that's the route that you want to take, is political office.
Yes, sir. And in Tallahassee, like I said this before, but Tallahassee is one of those cities where you can know the leaders of your city.
Yes,
All you have to do is be active and be. If you go out to the events, you're going to meet the people who are running for office and
right.
talk to them, see what they're doing, see what their platform points are, and I can get to know you on a personal level to know what kind of leader you're going to be for the city of Tallahassee. And Tallahassee
Exactly.
that opportunity to do so, and I greatly appreciate that. It's almost it takes away the elitism of when you're a politician and when you're a
Hmm.
commoner, regular citizen, say a
Just an
regular,
everyday person. Yeah.
yeah, everyday person. It's almost just fear. I can't approach my politicians like that and speak to them
Right.
on a
Right.
actually does that opportunity does give us the opportunity to do so. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Step four, solving the Rubik's
Okay.
cube. Step four of solving life is to take it to the next level. Now, taking it to the next level means to continue to grow, to continue to
Right.
get better. We must always make it a mission to become a better version of ourselves. And you mentioned some of the growth in
Hmm.
Tallahassee. The main thing we want people to be involved in the city. When we have people involved, Tallahassee is a city that nurtures leaders who want to self-do. If you're a doer,
It,
you have
it
opportunity.
does. Yes.
So, Mr. Richardson, how can you grow and develop this mission to create doers and to develop and grow the city of Tallahassee?
Well, of course, you want to continue to get as much education as you can. I have two master's degrees. I had finished all of my requirements for a PhD, but my dissertation. So you always want to continue to grow in that respect, getting as much education as you can, formal education. But then you want to seek out opportunities to grow just as a person, finding those people who will challenge you as a person that you can learn from, that can become a mentor or role model for you. And there are lots of organizations and opportunities in Tallahassee for that. I mentioned Leadership Tallahassee, but that's only one. We've got a number of Greek letter organizations in the community where you can get involved and continue to grow and build yourself, your leadership skills, grow your self-confidence. Like I said, build those networks that will help you to know where the resources are. And so those are just some of the things that you can do, as you get involved in the community that will help you grow as a person and become a part of a neighborhood or a network. So yeah, those are the things that I would suggest that people get involved in, especially this whole aspect of seeking out role models. If you're on a path in life, there are people that you can connect yourself with that will help you get to where you want to go. Or if they're already there, they can help you build the path of success. I've had that so often here in Tallahassee, people that I have gotten to know. I had the great fortune of working for the late Governor Lawton Childs. And through that experience, I grew as a person and learning about state government and how policies are made at that level. And that's what encouraged me to run for the Florida House of Representatives. Those kinds of experiences, those growth experiences. So those are the things that I would suggest in
That
order to
is,
continue to grow as an individual.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. People, they lay breadcrumbs for us to pick up and follow in their footsteps.
Yes,
Whatever you want to do is, running for office. Like you said, you have the opportunity to work for Governor Childs. And
right.
these people, they want people to pick up their breadcrumbs and follow the path that they follow, that they laid
Right.
out to follow. So, great
And
point.
Derek, I have always that has been one of the things that I have always done and I'm proud of. Whenever I've been in office where I had the opportunity to hire staff, my staff has always looked like me. When I was in the legislature, as a matter of fact, two of my successors, Representative Alan Williams was a mentee of mine. Our current representative, Ramon Alexander, interned in my legislative office. And, I've known him since he was a little boy. His dad and I pledged together. And so I've always tried to provide opportunities. My current city commission aide is an African American, and I'm trying to groom him to take over for me, because like I said, I'm at the point where, I've probably done this for about as long as I'm going to do it. And so I'm trying to get young people like yourself, your generation prepared to assume these leadership roles in our community, because we got to make sure we have the right people representing us
Mhm.
who are going to look out for our best interest and advocate for those interests at the policy level.
It's funny you say this because I was just speaking to a friend the other day about the art of apprenticeship and how in our
Yes,
community, we've kind of lost this know-how of taking somebody who's mastered the concept and sitting
right.
at their feet and learning from them. How do you did this for 40 years? You can definitely teach me how to do this and master this
Sure.
craft. Um, and we have to do a better job of passing the torch.
Right.
Once you
I tell you, one young man that I'm extremely proud of was my first city commission aide. He happened to be from my same hometown. His name is Vincent Evans. Vincent was a state employee when I first ran for the city commission. And I asked Vincent to help me on my campaign. When we were victorious, he became my city commission aide. He would go on from there to work for Congressman Lawson in Washington. Vincent is now a special assistant to the vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris. I'm so proud of him. I don't know what to do, but I feel good that I had some small role in him getting to where he is in life. And so that speaks to what you're saying, that apprenticeship model that we've lost and bringing young people along, uh, when we've already been there, grooming them to take over for us when we get to the point where we can't do it anymore.
Thank you for that, sir. Thank you for that, sir. That's more.
Yeah.
That's people that put politics. That's a social structure
Yes.
to implement back into the article.
Yes.
Joel Blunt, it's Commissioner Richardson.
No, thank you, Joel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Camille Lewis, Derek, you need to go ahead and run for office. I'm running for exercise. Joe Blunt said, building a legacy is important. Thank you for the comments.
Yes.
Thank you for the comments. So, the fifth and the final step, the last step of solving the Rubik's Cube, the fifth and the
Okay.
final step of solving the Rubik's Cube, the fifth and the final step of solving life is to see the bigger picture. Now, seeing the
Yes.
bigger picture means to keep your commitment to your commitments. So,
Yes.
at this point, Mr. Richardson, what I would like to know are what are key platform points of your campaign that you want to commit to, that you want to keep your promise to the citizens of Tallahassee.
Well, Derek, as I mentioned, what one of the things that prompted me to run for the city commission was to improve conditions in the neighborhoods where African Americans live in the city of Tallahassee, because we had so long been ignored. Resources had not been directed towards those areas, and so my big picture was a city where, regardless of where you live, Tallahassee has been twice designated an all-America city. So
Mm,
my vision is of a city where, regardless of where you live, you could feel proud that you live in an all-America city. And unfortunately, we don't have that right now in Tallahassee in certain areas where resources have not been directed. We don't have the proper infrastructure. There's a lack of adequate housing. Crime is rampant. Uh, Public safety is an issue. And so those are the kinds of things that I've been working on as a city commission. And fortunately, I've got colleagues on the commission who share that same vision. And we're headed down that road of making Tallahassee be the kind of community that you can be proud of, regardless of where you live, that your neighborhood is safe. Your children can go out and play in the yard and you don't have to worry about them. We didn't have that luxury where I live, where my daughters were growing up. And we still don't, even to this day, because there are areas where crime is high, uh, where we live. And so, but we're working on that. And so that's how you develop that big picture, that vision for what a community should look like, and then you establish uh, goals and metrics for how you're going to reach that vision. You can't do it all at once, and it's going to
mm,
take time to get it done. I mean, there's some road infrastructure, transportation infrastructure projects that I'm working on, that I've been working on for the 6 years I've been on the commission, and they're telling me the project may not be finished for another 10 years.
mm.
And but you have to have that kind of patience and, like I said, long-term vision for getting things done. I may not see it, but future generations will.
Hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Richardson, first off, it has been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to have you on
Yes.
and interview you today, sir. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the lessons that you were dropping today. We greatly appreciate it. Um,
Yeah.
we have officially solved the Rubik's cube. So, thank you for
Hmm.
walking us through your five steps of solving the twists and turns of your campaign. And three, while we have a person of your statue, sir, I think it's very important that we pick your brain while we can. So, are there
Hmm.
any last minute words of wisdom that you would like to leave with us today, good sir?
Well, I would just say, for students like yourself, Derek, and it has been an absolute pleasure to be on the program with you this afternoon. There
Thank you,
is
sir.
so much more that we could talk about, of course, that's going on in our communities. We could talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and what that means for the African American community. Uh, but 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 I am so interested in making sure that young people like yourselves and generations have the opportunity, because there were people who literally gave their lives so that Curtis Richardson could serve in the offices that I've been able to serve in. Now today, I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't stand in front of a police officer with a gun pointed at me, or an angry dog that he's. But what I do is serve the community and make opportunities available for the young people that are coming behind me. And so that's where we've got to be as an African American people, to be involved in this process, to cultivate leadership and make sure that we get our young people involved in this process. Because if not, we're going to get left behind. And I fear for that as we go forward. But I'm encouraged, Derek, by young people like yourself who are doing good things, who are serving as role models in the community. I'm encouraged by that because there are lots of young people out there like you, but we've got to make sure that we address these issues, especially of violent crime.
Mm-hmm.
Our young men, our young Black men, both the victims and the perpetrators of crime, and we're 15% of the population as that's African Americans, but 52% of the prison population. And so those are the kinds of issues that we have really got to get resolved in our communities. And I'm doing my part. And like I said, I hope to be able to pass. I know that I will be able to pass the baton on to young people like yourselves to continue that effort.
Yes, sir. We definitely need to address those disparities that affect
Yes,
our community. So thank you, thank you for that, sir. Um, Camille Lewis, a longtime member of Tallahassee, said, "Thank you, Commissioner Richardson, for all the inspiration and jewels you have dropped. You are appreciated." And
thank
yes,
you, Camille. I appreciate that.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Richardson, good luck. Good luck on your campaign. We have about maybe a week or so left for voting. So
Yes,
good luck for the last run.
yes. And I
Yes,
would encourage, like I said, everybody to get out and vote. Early voting is going on now. We'll vote on election day, November 3rd. Uh, and I just humbly ask for the voters' support of my reelection to the city commission so that we can continue the good work that we're doing to move this city forward, but also to address the issues in our neighborhoods where African Americans live and make us feel good about being residents of the city of Tallahassee.
Joe Blunt said we have to learn to love each other.
We
Yes, sir.
do. We
Yes,
do.
sir. Yes, sir. Well, good people, thank y'all for watching. Y'all be great like
Yes.
the lakes. Be blessed like a sneeze. Peace and blessings of life. Mr.
Thank you,
Richardson, if you don't
Derek.
mind staying on, good sir, for a hot second.
Yes.